All right. So a picture has finally surfaced again of the infamous El Monte, and that's what I want to talk about in this video. I go on high tech on you. I got my 3 or 4 year old doohickey that Verizon taught us into buying, but we're gonna make use of it now. So what I want to do is read y'all the story, the first-hand account of Fran Preeve. He was the president of the Tonawanda engine plant. So what spawned me to want to do this and talk about this was a very good friend of mine. Don't really believe this El Monte story. Well, instead of just taking George's word for it, I said, well, I need to step back and I need to look at both sides. And I need to do a little more research on who this Fran Preeve guy really was. Nothing that I've come across, luckily the internet's been around for 20 years now. I've found posts from Fran before he died of cancer, actually on the internet from the early 2000s, which is a great thing. But what I want to start out by is reading a friend of mine that's in the first generation Monte Carlo club. And this is kind of a follow-up video on setting the record straight. I talked about a lot of different things that were made and didn't made, but then, I'm guilty. I went into somewhat of a wise-tail car that I had no documentation or any proof of, talking about this El Monte. So I'm going to give you the information that I have. I'm also, the picture of this video will be the latest picture, and some guy posted it on Facebook, and it says it's owned by a family friend, and you can tell it's sitting in his garage, and it was a recent picture. That's the most recent picture that I've saw. But I want to read you this. This was from March 13th, 2005 by George Prim. And he was friends with Fran. He was in the Chevelle Club. And this is the story that, this is as it happened. And this would have been fresher on the brain because this story is from 15 years ago. So here we go. In 1986, the National Chevelle Owners Association convention in Pura, Illinois, a speaker from the Tonawanda, New York GM engine plant made a presentation on products. His name is Fran Preeve, and Chevrolet gave him access to all their records of production because he was a gearhead Chevy racer. He was the informal source pipeline for Chevrolet production facts to clubs and individuals. For a short while, he penned a column for a Chevy magazine, but then got cancer and had to stop. I asked him about the 7071 LS6 Monte Carlo, and he said no. I doubted it and got somewhat upset because Montes and Chevelles are made in the same plant. So, according to Fran Preeve, who had all the records from the Tonawanda engine plant, he was over that place. There are no LS6 factory production installed Monte Carlos. Over the years, we became a closer acquaintance and my confidence grew in his facts. He said Chevy has the records to confirm the legitimacy of a car, but did not want to make it available like Pontiac Historical Society because of the huge volume. Could you only imagine the trouble that people like me and you would cause on bombardment of information? How many lawsuits there would be? So just keep that in mind. In a recent magazine, it was mentioned that Chevy was thinking about offering this service. Remember, this is typed in 2005. I have believed they can do it because if you have a Canadian-built Chevelle, you can supply them the VIN and in return get the production information, build sheet, etc. If Canada can do it, so can US. That's right. As a side note, Fran told me of several one-off cars built that got out. We have found two, a Z16 300 Deluxe and a 72 El Monte. I have on videotape, which this would have been home video VHS tape, because this was from like the late 80s, early 90s. Fran Preeve knew one had been built and called the GM employee he knew who helped build it, and legitimacy was confirmed at the National Chevelle Owners Association convention in Nashville, Tennessee in 1992. Right there. It was confirmed by Fran in 1992. Now, this doesn't mean anything if the Fran guy was a total fraud. Everything I found online about Fran, and there's enough info on him on the internet, was that besides being a little bit of an arrogant Yankee, he was an honest guy and he really knew his stuff. And he was actually a car guy, and that's why he was interested in all this information. Okay, side note and back to the reading. In fact, it was for sale for $6,500, and when it was confirmed, the owner ran through the security at the convention to take the sale sign out. It hasn't been seen since, and this was 2005. As he was running to the car, I was yelling, "I'll give you asking price." So that's kind of funny. But yeah, the car just recently surfaced again on Facebook, just within the last month. And I'll try to pull that picture up and I'll show it to you if I can get signed in. If not, I'll just use the picture as the cover story to this video. Fran did not advertise the weird cars built by Chevrolet because they might be faked. It is neat to know the weird stuff and put the puzzles together and find them. The 300 Deluxe Z16 was found by Mark Meekins, founder of the National Chevelle Owners Association, and the nation's #1 Z16 expert in Tennessee in 2001. Fran first told us about it at the NCOA convention in Columbus, Ohio, when a mechanic from the Detroit area told him about a weird 65 Chevelle he had worked on with a big block and hydraulic lifters, a Z16 distinctive, the only high horsepower big block with hydraulic lifters. Fran told him to go find that car. It has since been found by several collectors who are now after it in the worst way. The value of this car I cannot even estimate. It was a GM exec car. It is my theory that the magical convertible of the 201 Z16s that has never been found is actually the 300 Deluxe. If you want to know more, let me know. I might start putting this stuff on Chevelle Club website under tech or make up a new section. Again, this was from 2005, so I'm not even sure that, I don't even know if that club is in existence anymore. Because of these circumstances of Fran's telling me of these odd cars and them coming through, I believe his comment that there were no LS6 Montes made. There were Chevelles and Vettes in 71s with LS6. I love this stuff. If you'd like to know what he said to the Corvette guys that made them mad, let me know. I'll post it. Okay, so again, what brought this up was from an LS6 post from 2005 saying that this fellow had an LS6 with a build sheet. So that's what got this stuff started. So, but what I wanted to kind of show you too was the, I can just do a quick search here, but we'll just search L Monte, and I'll show you the car that we're talking about. Come on. El Monte GM executive. Now, we don't really know if this was a GM executive car. It probably was. Executive. I can't spell tonight. But the reason I wanted to do this video was because, here it is. All right, so there's the car. Okay, let me turn the camera around so you can see that better. Here's a black and white photo. The car is actually orange, okay? But one thing that everyone either snarls at or is amazed at is how the doors on the fenders and the doors match. And then the line on the quarter panel also matches. Yes, I agree that the skeptics say that they should have incorporated the Monte Carlo lines into the quarter panel. I understand that. But this was built in 72, and my personal argument is this was GM having fun, kind of like the um, about the 90s Impala SS El Camino or anything else that they made that was goofy, or like Harley Earl's personal car he drove around that looked like a spaceship. I mean, this was just GM having fun, okay? This was not a concept car. There's a difference between a concept car and an executive car. Now, I also asked George about the convertible being an executive car, and Fran also said there were no Monte Carlo convertibles ever built as a GM executive car either. Now, I want to go to this other page here, and I just wanted to show you a little more, just doing some searches on the internet, what you can find out about Fran. And like I said, I had not done my due diligence in talking about who Fran was or doing any. I just took my friend's word for it, and he's a good person to take their word for. But if you just do searches like on this Nova here, there is here it is, Chevrolet plant manager Fran Preeve, right there. Chevrolet planet manager. Look at that crappy type of plant manager. Fran Preeve said the Tonawanda engine plant kept very accurate records on engine built during each model year. So again, this is not El Monte related, but this is just Fran Preeve related. Who was this guy? Well, was this just some old, somebody who had too much beer to drink at the car show and was telling crazy stories? I don't think so. Not what I found here in doing just a little search. And his name comes up a lot in the 348 and 409. See, Fran Preeve, muscle car historian. Fran Preeve is a historian for the Tonawanda plant. Question for Fran Preeve. And this is just a bunch of crap. He was actually again, he's passed away now. We'll never be able to talk to him again. That's a shame. But, okay. So, let's see if I can get the information pulled up and show the recent picture. The picture's in my phone, but unfortunately can't get to it on this. I'm gonna try to log into my Facebook here on the app. I apologize for if you want to forward through this part, you're more than welcome. Just it's a lot of trouble trying to edit videos, so just bear with me. But I think this is a fun little study. Once me and a good friend of mine had a discussion about this, I kind of wanted to do my due diligence and do what we needed to do. So anyway, crap. Incorrect password. I'm always changing too many dang passwords. I haven't logged into my account on this. But anyway, so I'll fool with this later, but let's go back to the internet here, and just by doing let's see if I can find that picture. again, I'm going to include that picture, and it's going to be the title of this video. But, and also, I want to put it out there that, you know, I believe the story because of, and now it doesn't make me doubt it as much because I've done my research on who the Fran Preeve guy was. But I was guilty of not doing my due diligence on finding out who Fran Preeve was. But like I said, just do a Google search for Fran Preeve, and you'll see stuff that comes up. And I also found a post where he had died, and they were selling a lot of his junk. Oh, here it is. Team Chevelle. This is from 2001. For those who missed the Can-Am show in Grand Island, you missed a great free event. The highlight of the weekend for me was meeting Claudia Preeve and her great hospitality, inviting anyone at the show to her house, which is down the road from the show. On Friday night, after the cruise night at Paddock Chevrolet, we stopped in at her place around 7 a.m. She welcomed us into her huge garage, and it was like a museum. For those who do not know Claudia, she is the wife of the late Fran Preeve, who died in 2008. Okay, I'm sorry. This member joined. This post was from 2013. He died in 2008. Fran worked for 33 years at the GM Tonawanda engine plant and became the GM historian and collected lots of information over the years, from lug nuts to lifters. Even the 79 vet in which she drag raced for years and won lots of trophies. I was lucky to buy a few issues of the Chevelle report that I was missing. The address label reads Fran Preeve, muscle car historian, then the address. I also purchased some neat memorabilia from the engine plant. I could have spent hours there just looking at all the neat stuff, but after 2 hours it was getting late. Those of you who missed it, our club has another show, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so I stopped there Saturday afternoon with Jim Fairchild. I took some of those R43T spark plugs off her hands, and Jim picked up some of the memorabilia. She is very cool to chat with and has some awesome stories. So again, I mean, the guy obviously knew his crap. And it verifies what George has said, and he said the same story. You can go back and, he hasn't changed his story. But, again, Fran's passed away. But I'm kind of putting the call out there here. I haven't seen this car, okay? I do believe that the car was built as Fran said it was built. And I have no doubt that he said that, because George wouldn't lie to me. He was there sitting beside him, literally, and they were having a conversation. This wasn't a hearsay, he said, she said type of story. So, again, the guy, it's a shame that he's no longer with us. He's been dead for 13 years. But I just wanted to do my job in clarifying that last video, about, talking about all this stuff, but then going in and saying, but there was an El Monte and it's real. Well, I provided no proof whatsoever. And this is not proof that this El Monte exists. But this is proof that Fran Preeve was who he said he was. He was a very, very knowledgeable guy, and he wasn't just some car show redneck that popped off at the mouth. Just searching Fran Preeve El Monte on Google, you'll get some hits like, from 1999, from 2006, There's a post from FGMCC Monte Club in 2019. Chevelle 64 to 72. So let me turn the camera around. This is Fran Preeve had a total of 358 engines. Blah blah blah. This is for different stuff, but let's see what this says on the club website here. I would say someone, yeah, here's another story by George. Fran Preeve, an employee of the Tonawanda, New York engine plant for decades, was also an avid racer. You can read that kind of, I'm holding it there. Chevrolet had no 71 SS 454 was made with a 4-speed from the factory. And then he talks about the deluxe and all of that stuff. And then I said, you need to do a write-up on of all the stuff you found. Good info. Yeah, that's one reason why I wanted to do this video, is because it's I feel it's important. Because all these people are not getting any younger. So, you know, the more people that pass away, the more information we lose from, you know, as time goes by. So, and I've just been clicking on a few things here. Here's see. Yeah, Fran Preeve's work showed 373 69 L72 427 engines were built for A bodies. I don't think any of those would have a CE code. The way Fran determined the number of L72 cars built was to simply look at the RPO totals. He deduced that since there were 323 more big block cars than SS cars, and 323 must be Copo 427, leaving 50 service replacement engines. The problem with this reasoning is that there are some 69 396 Chevelles without an SS option. And this is actually disputing some of Fran's numbers on this particular engine, and that's okay. But no one says he's an idiot. It's just some say they don't like, I never liked Fran's number of 323. So when a lot of these, you know, stuff like this, there will be some discrepancy on exact numbers. But what this video was about is basically Fran was a historian. He was an employee of the Tonawanda engine plant, and he was high enough up that he knew about the special cars that were made. One supposedly being the car in question, the El Monte. So if you know of this car, and if you have any more insight on this car, I want to know about it. If anyone, this would be a blessing, has any documentation, if you see this video and you know who owns that car, and they want to remain anonymous, but they have some documentation, maybe they done some more research after they talked to Fran in 92, and maybe they got this thing documented that it is legit. I want to know about it. It would be good information. It's a good story. And until, like I said, me personally, I believe the story. I believe the car was what it's supposed to be because of what's been, the information that's been put into my hand. who Fran Preeve was, kind of, well, does check out just by doing some Google searches online, that he knew a lot, and he was even on a lot of forums, because he was up into the age of the internet until things, so he was also well known in the 348 and 409 community. So let's see if I can find one more picture before I end this video. El Monte. Like I say, this was posted in the El Camino group on Facebook. I was hoping the picture would show up, but anyway, I'll include that on my picture of my video. But the car is orange, and it's actually going to be the picture that's inside of that garage that I'm going to use. So hopefully, if you see this, I haven't done anything hoodoo here. It was posted on a public forum, and I just saved it to my phone. If you see this video, like I said, I would love to talk to whoever owns this car or find out more information about it. It's always intrigued me, and until I'm shown otherwise or proven otherwise that this is a backyard, but it seems to be a quality if it was a backyard build. Either way, it's still cool. It's still very cool. At this point, with what's been said about it, I would be disappointed if it was proven to be a backyard build and the Fran guy was full of crap. Nothing leads me to believe that Fran was full of crap. So, again, that's the way I feel about it. I've got friends that feel the same way I do. I got friends that don't see it the same way I do, and that's okay. That's what makes it an interesting story. That's why I did this video. But again, I'd love to see if whoever owns this car has got some type of documentation. Maybe they documented it. Maybe they reached out for more information privately from Fran after that show, because again, once they ran back down through security, the car disappeared the next day after the show was over, and it hasn't been seen since. Now, it was at a National Monte Carlo Owners Convention, and I seen that picture someone posted the other day also, but I cannot remember what year that was. And I want to say that was sometime back in the 90s. It may have been after the 92 show. So Fran verified it in 1992 with some other higher-ups that knew about the car from GM that he worked with. And it kind of makes sense that they wouldn't have told a lot of people about it, because again, it would get faked. As far as I know, there is no more El Montes out there that anyone's built. Of course, there's a mess of convertibles. I'm sitting behind one now. I just finished restoring. So again, according to Fran and most, there were no LS6 Monte Carlos made. There were also no factory installed 4-speed SS cars, and that's something that George kind of asked him, and that kind of lines up with what we all know today, that there hasn't been any of that surface. So anyway, 30 minutes of me bumbling and looking on the internet, but it's an interesting story. So let me know what you think. If you got any information, if you got any legitimate information, not he said, she said stuff, but any legitimate information on the car, if it's kind of like you were there or you talked to Fran at this show or anything, if you knew Fran Preeve, if you think that Fran was a smart guy, I want to know. If you think he was a total idiot, I want to know that too. that also helps verify the story, the El Monte story in itself, and that's what we want to. That's what we want to do. I would love to see this story broken one way or another. Whether Fran was mistaken or he's dead on, and this was a absolute, maybe they shouldn't, but they did because they was just having fun building a neat car. Now, one thing before I go. To build this car is not easy. You got to use, and this is just me thinking out loud here, but you got to have an El Camino frame to start. You got to have a Monte Carlo nose, and you've got to have the front clip from the firewall to the grill, the frame horns on a Monte Carlo. That's the special part of the Monte Carlo. So you got to use that part of the frame on the chevelle El Camino frame. Then you would have to graft Monte Carlo doors into the El Camino doors, which the El Camino doors are way shorter than the Monte Carlo doors, but yet this car looks very legit on that aspect. Okay, it don't look like a hack job. Again, this could be done. I don't have the jigs and stuff, but I feel like, I could probably do that. Put the shell on, but you'd have to shorten the Monte Carlo door skin and put it on. And then you got to make it work with the vent windows and all that stuff. See, the door pitch was different where it's flat on a Monte Carlo and it's pitched on the El Camino. So all that would be different from the Monte door skin to the El Camino door skin, because you remember 68 to 72 El Camino, the doors, where it meets the back of the fender, it's all the same. Again, they did not graft the Monte quarter panels into the El Camino, but in this particular situation, I can kind of see the car kind of looks okay. I mean, that one big seam in the back of the quarter does kind of line up with the Monte Carlo seam on the door. It's just not as crisp. So again, I shouldn't say that the car is real, but I personally believe it's real, just based on a few minutes on Google of verifying who the Fran guy was. So I don't know. It's a good story, and I just want to know more about the car. If you see this, please reach out, comment. If you've seen the car at one time, I want to know your opinion about the car. Did you look at the car and say, "Dang, this is a hack," or did you look at the car and say, "Dang, that looks goofy as heck"? But that's a good. It was done good. I got to looking at it, and you couldn't see this, and it all looked crisp and neat, and or no, I seen this thing and it was a total hack job. I want to know about it. The people I've said that seen it said it was done very well. So that leads to believe that it's definitely not a hack job either way, whether it was done in the back room at the factory, or if it was done in somebody's backyard. So I want to know about it. Thanks for watching, and I hope you got something out of this. I hope you find this story as interesting as I do, and we'll just go from there. And I'll do follow-up videos as information comes in. Thanks for watching.